Welcome to Speak for Yourself. I'm Joy Taylor here with LeVar Arrington and Rick Bucher. Marcellus Wiley and Emmanuel Acho are off today, but we're going to keep it moving starting in Dallas. Dak Prescott has seen no preseason action as he works his way back from a shoulder strain. The Cowboys season opener is against the Super Bowl champion Bucs, but Jerry Jones seems confident his star quarterback will be ready to go. Let's take a listen.
I wouldn't be nervous this morning as to where he is in his recovery. He's there. I'd like for him to have this week of practice just to get ready to play Tampa. But, of course, we've got, 2.5 weeks or 2 weeks. But the bottom line is he's there.
So, LeVar, how confident are you in Dak heading into week one?
I'm not very confident. And listen, we've discussed this at length on the show all week in terms of hold a guy out to play or not to play. That is the question. If Dak Prescott can play, you get him reps. Why? Because you're heading into a season where, well, you're going to be facing off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Los Angeles Chargers in the first 2 weeks of the season. That's two top 10 total defense teams. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers being, 6th. The Chargers being 10th. In fact, tied for 4th in sacks with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense front. I just think that if you want to see Dak Prescott have a chance, a fair chance against top-rated defenses to have success, you needed to see if he could do something in the preseason. Something, not nothing. You needed to see something. And if he's not healthy enough where you could see that something, and you're hoping that he's healthy enough for the first week of the season, the second week of the season, then you're probably best served to assume that he's not going to be up to par in terms of health-wise to be able to produce. So I got to say, if he does play well, good for him. But in terms of going into it with confidence about him being able to show that he can handle top 10 defenses consecutively in the start of the season, not so much.
Yeah, not confident at all. Jerry Jones says that as of this morning, we should not be worried. I'm sorry, Jerry. I'm worried. You've got a guy who's coming back on a reconstructed ankle. He hasn't been able to throw. He hasn't taken a live snap since October 11th. And you're going on the road to play the defending Super Bowl champions in week one. And if it was just Dak Prescott that you were trying to plug in to a team that is humming right now and has everything else sorted out, I might feel a little bit different. But that's not even the case. The Dallas Cowboys have had a star-crossed training camp, and the extent to which Hard Knocks has given us a great insight to that things have not gone the way that they have wanted. They're preseason games, so the win-loss record doesn't really matter, except that they really wanted to win a game, to feel that surge, to feel that energy, to have something positive to build on. And whether it's starting with Dak Prescott straining a muscle in his shoulder from day one, or all the other things, still having to sort out the offensive line. Do I think Dak Prescott can get back to being Dak Prescott at some point? Yes, but the idea that he's either going to succeed in week one, and what really does worry me is with everything not being sorted out and the position that he's in, I just don't want him to get hurt again week one. And considering who they're going up against and the circumstances, there's no guarantee that that's not going to happen.
Well, the week one opponent to me doesn't really matter. There's NFL defensive linemen on every single NFL team. So some are better than others, but I don't think that you can put bubble wrap around a player. I'm with LeVar on the not being soft thing that we talked about yesterday. I don't think you can put bubble wrap on a player just because you're going up against a tough opponent. So that part doesn't concern me as much as the longevity of Dak Prescott over the course of an extended season. We have a longer season now. He's coming into the season injured. And my bigger question about this whole situation, which is what makes me only a little bit confident in it is that they've been very vague about what's going on. All of the reporters, all of the sources, people that are close to the team are saying they're concerned and this is a real issue. The Cowboys are saying there's nothing to worry about. Well, that makes me think it's somewhere in the middle where maybe Dak isn't as injured as the far end is saying, but he's certainly not 100% healthy because he was very clear he wanted to be out there for preseason to get comfortable with his ankle injury that he was coming off of. So this is a very long season. It is a Dak-centric offense. He is so much more than just the quarterback. He is the heart and soul of this team, and we saw how quickly they fell apart without him last year. So I'm confident in Dak as a leader. I'm confident in all of his intangibles. I'm confident in his ability to overcome, but I'm not confident in this situation long term. And because it is now a 17-game season and he is coming in injured in a very specific place in his body, I am a little concerned. And I also don't think that at this point it would be a knock to morale if they made a move for a legitimate backup quarterback. I actually think it would be a relief to the situation. I feel like they're maybe not leaning into that because they don't want to confirm how injured Dak is, but what it would really do is alleviate a little bit of the tension to me. Now, we're not in the building, so I can't speak to whether, how good Dak is feeling, but we all know this is a longer season, and we all know what's going to happen if he's not out there. So having a competent backup, I think, would be the best move for them at this point.
Come on over to the dark side,
You're
Joy.
saying you're a little bit confident.
Yeah.
But
did you
you're
hear
a
the points,
little
Rick?
bit confident in what for week one, based on everything that you just said?
I know that Dak is going to be out there week one. Everyone is saying he's going to be out there week one. So I'm a little bit confident in Dak. But I'm not confident in the situation as we're talking about the entire season. Like, the macro situation is very concerning. Micro being, is he going to play week one? I'm sure he's going to play week one. That's what they're saying. Why would he not be out there week one? They're just
I get that.
They're using all the time that they have to let him rest this injury. But your confidence, macro, whole season long, he might miss a game or two, and they need to have a really competent backup out there.
Here's the point of what Joy just said. Take the bubble wrap off of him, because this whole soft versus smart is now at play all over again. Why? Because you need to see if he can take a hit. You need to see if he can get out of the way. Now, if that's the last preseason game, then use it for the last preseason game. He does not have to play an entire quarter. He doesn't have to play an entire half or a game. Give the man a series. That says to me what Joy just said. Something ain't right. Yeah, if you want that in English and not in Ebonics, something is not right. That's why they're not playing him. So there can't be a tremendous amount of confidence in terms of thinking that Dak Prescott is going to come in and somehow, some way, be a player that we expected him to be prior to the major injury, not the second one, not the shoulder resting, but prior to the ankle injury, because he has not had meaningful reps to see what his timing is in a game. We just talked about Andy Reid saying Pat Mahomes needs to play. Why? To get the timing down with his offensive line, to get the timing down with his offense. Dak Prescott needs that probably even more than a Patrick Mahomes does. And yet you're not going to put him out there for at least a series. At least a series, so he can see 100% coming at you game rep. You cannot simulate it in practice. So to me, that says something is wrong. If you're not playing him, something is wrong. So it goes to the last point that Joy just made, which I do believe I made this point yesterday as well. If you have that concern, I don't care what you're telling the public. Jerry Jones can say what he wants to say, but if you have that concern, you know they do not have the backups to be able to sustain having a good season if Dak Prescott goes down.
Yeah.
So why not see if he's going to be able to do it so that you can get a quarterback in now and have enough time to get him acclimated?
LeVar, that's the whole thing.
Okay.
Is the reason that they're saying he's ready and they're going with him is because they don't have an option. Like, he's not playing. You would feel, I gather, you would feel different if they were playing him in the last preseason game. If they gave him a quarter in the last preseason game. No,
don't give him a quarter. Don't give him that much.
You would feel more confident about Dak Prescott going into week 1 than you do right now. Is that the distinction?
It doesn't have to be a quarter, Rick. Give me
I know, I'm just saying, whatever.
Give me
series,
some plays.
2 series.
Yes.
You would just need to see him.
Yes.
See, for me, that would help a little bit. It would expose whether he's actually physically ready to go or not. But to me, it's not just the question of his physical ability right now. Like, let's say he's good to go. He's not going to be 100%. Let's say he's 95%, he's 90%, whatever it is.
But that's clearing a hurdle.
If you could assure me he's that, fine. But even if you could assure me of that, I'm not confident at all that Dak Prescott is ready to go. Prepared. The definition of ready.
Ready.
The definition of ready. Part of the definition of ready is fully prepared.
Mm-hmm.
He's not fully prepared. So even if he's close to 100% healthy, putting him out there under these circumstances, and as I said, Joy, I agree with you. Like, big picture, season long, I'm confident Dak Prescott can get back to some close semblance of what he's been. What my concern is going into week 1 against this opponent with such little preparation, with a team that is still in somewhat disarray, that is a recipe for disaster. Jerry, you're asking me not to be worried. I'm reading all the tea leaves. I'm looking at everything that's transpired, and I'm going, okay, there's a lot of things here that you need to assure me about that you can't, because everything I'm looking at says this is not a good situation for your Dallas Cowboys going into week 1.
He's certainly not as prepared as all the other teams. I do think that you can not have those reps in training camp and still be able to play week 1. We saw that last year.
Not having played since October 11th?
The entire league did not have a full offseason to prepare, and they still went into the season and were able to do it. Dak is a veteran at this point. It's not like he's a rookie that they're throwing out there coming off of an ankle injury and a shoulder strain.
But how many of those guys missed almost all of last season?
Well, yes, that's a good point that he was out, but he's not going to forget how to play football. I agree with you that he's not as prepared as everyone else and that it would be ideal for him to have a full offseason healthy and that he's not going to be 100% prepared. But he's not going to forget how to play football. Like, yes, they are behind the curve, and ideally you would have wanted him to have a full training camp. But that's why I'm saying I still have confidence in Dak. Dak is still in the quarterback room. He's still at camp. He's still working out. He is just limited. So is it an ideal situation? No. But that's why I think it's so important that they get a serviceable backup quarterback, because he's not going to lose his job. Dak Prescott is not going to lose his job to this backup quarterback. They just paid him. It's not going to mess up morale. It's not going to be any confusion whatsoever in the Cowboys facility about who the guy is just because they bring in a backup quarterback. But they do need a backup, because this is a serious situation. And I don't know why the Cowboys are being so vague about it, because like I said to start with, you have people like Troy Aikman, you have Michael Irvin, you have Schefter, you have all these reports that Dak is not ready to go, that he is not 100%, that this is a very concerning situation. And then you have the Cowboys on the total opposite end of the spectrum. That is not a recipe for success to me. That means something is up. To LeVar's point, if he was okay to be out there, giving him a series would make sense. So he is clearly still injured if you don't even feel comfortable putting him out there for a series. Yeah. Because it's not even about the ankle anymore. It's about the shoulder.
You know why they're so optimistic, or they're speaking so optimistically. They believe in unicorns and rainbows in Dallas. That's always been the case. It's always been, we're a Super Bowl champ. The greatness of the Dallas Cowboys is right around the corner. That has been the song that they've been singing for some 20, 25 years. So this idea that Dak's going to be fine, we're going to be fine, nothing to see here, nothing to worry about. I mean, that's kind of the song we've been hearing for quite some time in spite of all the other evidence.
If you think Dallas is going to go into a game against the defending world champions with that defensive front and those linebackers and that secondary, and he's had no reps, you might not want to have too much confidence in what the outcome of that is going to be. But here's what we're going to do now. We're going to go and talk to, well, somebody who did win for Dallas when he played for them. Coming up, we'll be joined by my former teammate and now Jackson State head coach Deion Sanders. You better call him coach. It's about to be prime time on Speak For Yourself, y'all. The offseason drama between Aaron Rodgers and the Packers had everyone's attention. The Athletic had a survey with a group of agents who gave their own opinions, with one saying it's a culmination of bad management and bad relationship management and poor foresight on all sides. Everyone is to blame. So, Joy, tell me, the tension between Rodgers and the Packers, who's to blame?
That would be the Packers.
Ooh.
Packers are the ones to blame. If you've been in a relationship with someone for 16 years and you don't know what they consider to be disrespect, you are not a good partner. That's just the facts. Aaron Rodgers has been there a very long time. He came in there as a young man. He was successful there, and he has been successful for you for a very long time. He deserved a certain level of respect with the Jordan Love situation and many others for that matter. They didn't have to change the way that they did business, but if you know what kind of individual Aaron Rodgers is, at this point, you have to manage that accordingly. We all have friends that do things that our other friends don't do. We all have family members who we know very dearly. And at one point or another, if you come to expect a certain type of behavior from someone and you already know their character, you know who they are, the joke is on you. Don't expect people to be anything other than what they are. Now, if they pleasantly surprise you, that's good. But if you choose to have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, after 16 years, you don't know what makes him tick, you are bad at personnel. That is a you problem. You have the information. If you choose to not use it, that is your responsibility. It is not on Aaron Rodgers. He has been a very consistent person from everything that I can see. So I lay this at the feet of the Packers. This is a situation that is filled with drama. And when it comes down to those kind of situations, it all starts at the top for me. Whenever you look at a dysfunctional situation, which I don't know that I would necessarily classify this as dysfunctional, but it is certainly not the most pleasant situation. We've been talking about it all offseason. We've been talking about it for a while. They are not a traditionally dysfunctional organization. However, this has been building and this has spiraled, and it's been very clear that he is unhappy. And when you wrong someone, like, for example, trade up to get Jordan Love without shooting Aaron Rodgers a text to let him know, it's on you to fix it. If you know you're going to do something that is going to infuriate your wife to the point that she may lose respect for you, and you know that's what's going to happen and you do it anyway, is it her fault for losing respect for you, or is it your fault for not communicating? Communication is very important. They know who Aaron Rodgers is. They chose to ignore that information and do what they wanted. It's at the feet of the Packers.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I wish you
Rick.
had, Joy, if you would just use the example that, you know, if you do something that ticks off your husband and don't get it and don't understand what it is, that I don't know. That would have fit better.
Well, we tend to hold grudges, so that's why.
Good point. Otherwise, I believe you nailed it. You nailed it. And I don't know that Aaron is necessarily the easiest personality to get along with. I would imagine there's a little eccentricity there. But to your point, they've been with him for 16 years. You know who he is. You know how he likes to operate. And it would be one thing for anonymous agents to be talking this way about what happened with the Green Bay Packers. But Mike Holmgren, former Packers head coach, has essentially said the same thing. And so, Joy, I agree with you to answer the question. It is on the Packers. Mike Holmgren says that it's on the Packers, that they have kicked this relationship. And he gives the indication that they are operating the way teams did in the 70s, which is, I don't need to tell you what we're doing. I don't need to tell you how we're doing it. We're just going to do it. But we are in a new day and age where star players like an Aaron Rodgers understand what their power and influence is, what their worth is, and while NFL teams still have all the leverage, they're watching their NBA counterparts and what they have and how they are treated. And so there is a certain degree of expectation there that they are at least going to have a voice in the conversation. It doesn't mean that the Packers have to do anything significantly different. Look, when I look at overall what they've done as far as putting a team together, they've done a fairly decent job. You can't argue with that. Maybe better than decent. I mean, they've been a title contender. So that has been good. It's all been about how they've relayed the decision-making to Aaron Rodgers that has created the problem. And that's simply a matter of communication. They wouldn't have had to do anything different in terms of their moves if they had simply felt like Aaron was part of the conversation and part of the decision-making process. It doesn't mean that they necessarily do what Aaron wants. It means that they just make him feel like he's part of the organization and that they see the value that he has. He's not just any quarterback. He's arguably the greatest quarterback who's ever played, certainly one of. And so with that comes a degree of respect that not necessarily every player gets. And being there 16 years, having done everything that he's done for the Packers and done it the way that he's done it, he deserves a little more than he's received. So I fully understand why he would be upset. And I think it's pretty simple that the Packers could have approached this a different way and they wouldn't be where they find themselves now.
Okay.
Here it comes.
Okay.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
All right. So it's on both sides. All right. Aaron Rodgers is a man. He's a woman. He's not the wife in this scenario. It's a marriage, yes, but not the marriage in the traditional sense of how we've just compared it. That's where I'll start. He's a grown man. He's a grown man, Mr. Bucher, that doesn't require coddling or kitty gloves the way that you just explained it. Oh, Aaron Rodgers, he's done so much. He deserves to
change the voice. It doesn't
he
change
deserves
what we're
to
saying.
be treated so well with the way that he's done things in Green Bay. Oh, can I put you down for a nap now? Listen, that man has a job to do, and he gets compensated very well for doing it. So when you look at a souring of a situation, when a relationship kind of begins to kind of unravel or fall apart, it's really up to both sides. Why? Because neither side really owes anything to the other side when it is a business relationship. They're not going to go to bed together at night. They're not going to take long walks in the park, no pillow talking, poolside hanging. Margarita sipping, maybe margarita sipping.
Might benefit them if they did.
The bottom line is here's where I go wrong with all of this. And I say, if it matters, both sides should make it work. If you're getting paid to be there and you are a paid employee, Aaron Rodgers isn't paying Green Bay. Green Bay's paying Aaron Rodgers. So to put everything on Green Bay and say, oh, it's Green Bay's fault. Green Bay needs to make it right. Green Bay needs to do this. Green Bay only owes their allegiance and their best decision-making to the better good of what the organization's needs are. If you feel that that's with Aaron Rodgers, then you approach it in a way that's in the manner that is respectable enough for the organization to stay face in doing so. If I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'm going to continue to work for them, which he has continued to work for them for all this time. In fact, he is still working for the Green Bay Packers today. He is an employee, meaning all of us. I'm an employee. Joy, you're an employee. Rick, you're an employee. I believe so. I don't. All I'm going to say is, you know what can happen today? We can get our walking papers today. And you know what they owe us on the way out the door? Absolutely nothing. You'd be lucky to get a goodbye. I've been fired before. I remember what it felt like. They gave me a nice little severance check, but you know what? It was like, hey, have a good day. Holler at you. And you know what? Never spoke to him again. No. Oh, you owed me this.
Aaron Rodgers isn't asking for a gold watch.
He's
not asking for a gold watch.
He's an employee.
He's just asking to be part of
he's an
the
employee.
organization.
Aaron Rodgers is an employee. He's one of like 4 employees in the world who can do what he does, though. That's the difference between Aaron Rodgers and the rest of the employees in the world. When you are one of 4, maybe if we want to argue to 10, which is very debatable, people of Aaron Rodgers' stature and talents, you do get to throw fits. We live in Hollywood. There are different kinds of employees in Hollywood than there are in the rest of the world. In Hollywood, an actor is still being paid by the studio, but they're not an employee. If they want vanilla chamomile candles in their luxurious dressing room, there better be them in there because they need to get in the zone. Because if that actor or actress at the top of Hollywood isn't in the right zone for this $400 million movie, an employee will be fired. They're both employees, but there's 2 different kinds. And Aaron Rodgers is the first kind. So yes, when you are at the top of 1% of humans in the world who can do what you do, even if someone is writing you a check, they better act appropriately when they bring you that check. And for many years, they lived in simpatico until there was a disrespect, until there was the one final straw on the camel's back. And whether that's reasonable or not, my original point is it doesn't matter. Know thyself and know the people around you. No, they're not in a marriage, but they are in a business relationship. And similar to marriages, business relationships can go badly very quickly.
Real quick.
With very small things. Because those small things lead up to the big thing. And that's what's happened here with Green Bay. So, yes, he might be an employee and he might be out of guaranteed money. But they can bring in another employee if they like to see what he can do in Aaron Rodgers' position. And then they will be very happy to give him a gold watch and whatever other contract and monies he wants to do his job. Yes, he can.
Just like them actors and actresses can walk right on.
That's the point.
Them actors and actresses of the top 1 of the 1%, you know what they can do too? They can leave. They can go. When you have that type of a budget, you know what happens? The show must go on. But the NFL ain't stopping because of Aaron Rodgers.
No, the
Green Bay ain't stopping because of Aaron Rodgers.
It might. They're going to find out. They're going to find out next year.
If Aaron Rodgers walked away from the contract this year and the team, the Green Bay Packers will still be playing football. So at the end of the day, if Aaron Rodgers wants to be playing, you need to be working towards having a resolution and a good, healthy working relationship, just like anybody else that isn't in that top tier of being employees. Why? Because if you want the opportunity to cash your check and be able to play, that's what it's going to be. You're not going to cut your nose to spite your face. You're not going to go out there and play bad football because you have a bad relationship with the organization. You're going to be a professional. You're going to be a leader. You're going to lead the other guys that are in the locker room with you. There's bigger things at play than just his relationship between him and the organization up top. Be a good person, be a good leader to the people that you're leading out there on the field while you're on the team.
But
it doesn't always have to be self-driven. It doesn't always have to be self-driven.
Nobody's saying he's not doing that.
Look, the issue that I have is we're making this out as if Aaron Rodgers is being a diva by
that's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. Y'all making it as.
He's not asking for chamomile tea. He's not asking for something extraordinary. He's saying, when you hire a head coach, can I have an opinion? Can I
love the way you voice it.
A notice that you hired a new head coach?
Can you include me?
Can I? If you're going to use the #1 pick on my replacement, could you at least give me a heads up that that's the direction we're going to go? Because I thought we were trying to chase a Super Bowl, not rebuild. And so what he did, and to your point, LeVar, if he came back last year and he sulked and he didn't play well, I'd be right there with you. I'd say, hey, look, you're still getting paid. You still need to play.
But that's the point.
You still need to be the best player you can be.
They still got to both perform.
And what was he? He was the MVP last year of the league.
Indeed.
In spite of everything they did, he was the model employee getting paid. So this idea that Aaron Rodgers has somehow disrespected the Green Bay Packers simply because he said,
I didn't say disrespected them. I just don't think they owe each other anything other than to work with one another the right way. I mean, they're both involved. There's a two-way street here. They both have to coexist. And if they're not coexisting, then it's up to both sides to make sure that they're coexisting so that they can have success. That's not a one-way street.
But I've got Aaron Rodgers saying, this is what I want, or this is what I need for this relationship to work. Green Bay doesn't have to chase him around to make him feel good about who he is. And I got the Green Bay Packers going, yeah, we're going to do what we're going to do. That, to me, is not communication. That, to me, is not a working relationship.
I personally would do all the things that y'all are saying, by the way. But I'm just saying, in reality, an employer isn't going to do those things sometimes, so it's up to you to figure out how to navigate.
Right, but
that's all I'm saying.
An employer that employs employees that isn't necessarily competing every single year, and that's the determination of your success, can do that. Like, if it's just to make money, then the Packers are doing fine, and they should just continue what they're doing because they make money. If the goal is to win Super Bowls, because that's the business that the Green Bay Packers are in, then you might be doing business the wrong way. And they're going to find out next year, because I don't believe Aaron Rodgers is going to be there. So they're going to get to show what they can do when that employee is not there. Coming up, Lamar Jackson strongly doubts the league has figured him out. We'll tell you if that could change this season next on Speak for Yourself.
Lamar Jackson recently dropped from #1 last year to number 24 in the NFL Top 100 rankings. Now a report says this might be the year everybody in the league figures out the former MVP. Lamar was asked about it, and, well, take a listen.
I'm going to keep playing football. We're going to see. But I doubt it, dude. I doubt it. I strongly doubt it. We're going to play ball.
So, LeVar, do you expect the league to figure out Lamar Jackson this season?
No, I doubt he's incorrect in what he's saying. If Lamar Jackson just sat there and told you he doubts it the way that he just said he doubted, you need to listen to what he's saying. There's something that Lamar knows. 24th on your top players list after he was #1? Come on, man. You know, I know Joy will touch on this, and I'm going to shoot it out there, and she can finish it off. He is not a one-dimensional quarterback. The fact that people believe that this is a young man that all he can do is get the snap and try to find the hole and run is your first mistake if you're looking at Lamar Jackson and what he brings to the table. The reason why he's able to have so much success is because, well, like, let's think about in 2019. Did you know he not only threw touchdowns, but he actually led the league in touchdown passes? In the last 2 seasons, Lamar Jackson ranked 6th in all rushers in terms of what he's able to do with his feet on the ground. 6th, only behind Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Ezekiel Elliott, and Josh Jacobs over the last 2 seasons. So you're talking about a dude that can throw the ball but is running for the same amount of yardage as the elite running backs in the league. Defenses eventually catch up and slow down quarterbacks. Quarterbacks eventually have to figure out what they need to do to stay ahead of the curve of what these defensive coordinators are doing. Coordinators are very unique in the sense that you have some that are more aggressive, some that aren't. Some will stay and keep it in front of them. Some will come after you. They will design defenses to show a cover 2 type of defense, but then they'll disguise it, and then they'll go into a sky coverage that looks like it's a zone, but then it's a man. You know, there are blitzes that come out of those coverages. They have robbers. They have guys that are stemming to the line. They're moving around. They will try to figure out things that will confuse Lamar Jackson to be able to slow him down, but it's no different than any other quarterback that they're going to game plan and scheme against. Lamar Jackson's super talent is that he is able to read defenses very well. People may not like the unorthodox, as it may be considered, way of delivering passes and doing things, but make no mistake about it. His speed is still a little bit faster than everybody else's, and his ability to deliver the balls is still pretty doggone good. I don't see them catching up to him to the point of where he should be ranked 24th or lose confidence in his ability to be the guy that he has been over the last couple seasons.
I think it's so strange that we keep marginalizing Lamar Jackson. Like, what does it even mean, figure Lamar Jackson out, solve Lamar Jackson? He's faster than everybody. So if he gets out there, he's going to outrun you. So you have that anyway. And this idea that he's just a running quarterback is a product of his greatness at his speed, at his ability to run it. If you look at the statistics, he is a passing quarterback. So what does it mean? Defenses try to stop passing quarterbacks all the time. There are schemes for that because traditionally that's what the quarterback does. This running version of a quarterback, especially Lamar Jackson, we've only seen a few times before at the level that he's doing it. But he can pass the ball. We do this on the Herd all the time, so I wanted to do this here. It's a blind resume, right? You're looking at two quarterbacks. One is Lamar Jackson and his passing numbers, right? Completion percentage is essentially the same. Passing yards per attempt, a little bit slightly higher for the other quarterback. Essentially the same passing touchdown to interception ratio. And the passer rating is actually a little bit higher for Lamar Jackson. So you would think this is a quarterback that's like not really known for being a passing quarterback, right? Not really known for his ability to pass the ball. Who is it? Let's reveal. Blind resume.
Who is it?
Only the guy that the Rams mortgaged their future for, sent their #1 overall pick to Detroit for, a guy that they were in a Super Bowl with just a few years ago for, Matthew Stafford, who's never been accused for being a running quarterback, certainly not in the level that Lamar Jackson is. Everyone talks about Matthew Stafford's ability to throw the ball. Everyone talks about Matthew Stafford's talent. So stop calling Lamar Jackson a one-dimensional quarterback. Stop talking about how he's going to be marginalized with his running. Yes, eventually, is Lamar going to lose speed 6 or 7 years from now? Yeah, maybe. And then are you going to be the guy that jumps up like, we solved Lamar Jackson? Good for you, okay? He's not going to be solved as long as he's as fast as he is, and he is not a one-dimensional quarterback. It's just not statistically accurate.
You know, we're going to go to break, Rick. Like, we don't even need you on this one. You know why? Because I got my man. You seeing him here in his uniform, but we're going to get the coach. We'll be joined by my guy, one of the top players in the NFL of all time, Jackson State's head coach, Deion Sanders. It's prime time next on Speak For Yourself.
Welcome back to Speak For Yourself. I'm Joy Taylor here with LeVar Arrington and Rick Bucher. Marcellus Wiley and Emmanuel Acho are off today, but we've got a very special guest joining us now. You know him as Prime Time for his Hall of Fame career that includes 2 Super Bowl titles and 8 Pro Bowl selections. Now he's called Coach Prime and is set to enter his 2nd season as head coach of Jackson State. Coach Deion Sanders, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. And this is not my 2nd season. I'm telling everybody who asked me this question. We had a spring season. I just met these dudes a month before you put me on the field with everybody. No, this is the true first season. I can't wait. I'm thankful for the spring season we had, but I'm so excited for the fall. I cannot wait to kick this thing off to get it started.
So we hear you're doing great work with HBCUs through your partnership with AFLAC. Can you tell us more about that?
AFLAC called me and called my folks and said, well, we want to get down with you. We want you and Coach Saban to do a commercial together. So I had to hit pause because I'm thinking, somebody playing. You want me and Coach Saban to do a spot together. Okay, let me do my homework a little bit. So I did my homework a little bit. So AFLAC been getting down with trying to bridge the gap for over 30 years in HBCUs and funding and blessing and donating and giving. And we're on kind of the same page. You talk about closing the gap for the unexpected. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to close the gap for the unexpected. So, And that's what we're doing. And I love the relationship. I love the partnership. Being on the set with Coach Saban for a couple days. You know, when I went down there, I brought the staff. Hey, guys, come on. We get ready to go to Alabama. We're going to learn some stuff today. We get ready to go to the creme de la creme, the magna cum laude. Let's go. And to be on the set with Coach Saban, man, it blew my mind. That's a coaching magic. Like, that's everything to a coach. To be with Coach Nick Saban and his staff. Wow. For 2 days. Forget the commercial, although the commercial is unbelievable. Because we brought the pageantry, we brought the theatrics of HBCU. You're going to see Coach Saban in a way, Lamar, you never seen him before. We was doing something, and he was down in his stance, his DB stance. Like, hey, Coach, you look like you still got it. He said, Prime, I never lost.
So he like you then. Y'all on the same page with it then, because I know you'll still lock him up too. Speaking of great coaches, and obviously you are on track to be one of the greats to do it. I've seen you do it from day one. A lot of people may not know that you've been in this game and you've been cultivating young, fine men for quite some time, and the love and care that you have put into it. I just got to ask you, with the recent passing of Coach Bowden, somebody who was such a tremendous influence on me and what I wanted to accomplish, never ended up getting recruited enough to go to Florida State, loved Penn State, went and played for another legend in Joe. They're up there coaching against each other now. What can you give us, just your feeling on that? How has he influenced and inspired what you're doing and setting out to do now, Coach? Godly
man, Christian man, consistent man, confident man, likable man, lovable man, family man. This man that I've just described came to my high school for me. First man I had ever seen at that time that I've seen on television, took a liking to me enough to come to my high school and say, we want you. That changed my life. All I needed to know was two things: what I'm going to eat and where I'm going to lay my head. You got that? I'm straight. Yeah, I'm not heavily recruited. You and a couple other schools, the only one who wants me anyway. I'm coming. And when I got there, I saw a man that was a father figure, a man that was so consistent in who he was never wavering, was never provoked, just marched to the beat his own drum and would entertain and charm a room like no other. That's what that man meant to me. So when I went with his family on Monday in Alabama to lay him to rest, it hit me. It hit me because the man that we were putting down has so many attributes that I'm trying to bring up right now and instill in these kids.
Indeed.
I wouldn't be the man I am today if it wasn't for Coach Bobby Bowden.
That's a beautiful thing, man.
Coach, you were one of the best all-time players, but this gig running a college program is a relatively new thing. So I'm wondering, what is the thing you did not know you would love about coaching?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry. Say that one more time because I lost you partially.
Running a college program is a new thing for you. What is it that you have found out that you did not know that you would love about coaching?
Running a college program may be a new thing, but running things ain't a new thing. I have one of the largest youth programs in the country. That's how, not only with the Redskins or the Washington football team now, but that's how Lamar and I even gotten closer because of the work that he does for the youth and the phenomenal athletes that he brought in. But being able to do things that God had already prepared me for in the desert. So when I came to answer this call that he gave me, I was ready. I was ready on so many different levels. I had a staff of this level, staff of that level, staff for this, staff for that. And so many people that wanted to see me succeed, the different companies, the Pepsis, the Under Armours, the Walmarts, there's so many resources that we could grab and pull Sodexo Magic into feeding us. And we talk about leveling the playing field. Everybody don't understand what that means until you get into it, because these kids are so much at a disadvantage. Even the dorms, I mean, the food, the football fields, the practice facilities, and anything that we could bring to bring solvency to that and bring equality to it, I'm all for it. I've always been for it. You're just getting to see me do what I've been doing behind the curtain for years, and we're putting the Prime brand with Jackson State and the Jackson State with Prime, and the Jackson State is everything to me, and I'm just trying to support it and love it and secure it and get these kids noticed, man. Mm-hmm. I stood on that sideline last season in the spring and said, that dude could go pro. That dude could go pro. That dude could go pro, but nobody never seen him. Mm-hmm. So this was the first time in history that ESPN really jumped out there and said, we got you. We gonna show this. And we need other networks to jump as well, because a diamond ain't a diamond unless it's seen. Mm-hmm.
Well,
unless it's seen.
Speaking of some of those young players that are now in the NFL, let's talk a little NFL, Coach Prime. As a veteran player, because we're talking a lot about these quarterback competitions for a lot of teams this year, and the debate is, would you rather have a veteran that knows the defenses a little more but might not be as talented, or would you rather have the young guy that might go off script and be a more athletic? As a veteran NFL player, who would you prefer your opponent put out there early in the season, week one? Would you rather have like a Andy Dalton or a Justin Fields or a Jimmy Garoppolo or a Trey Lance? What way do you want as a veteran player?
Who's the guy going to help me win right now? Tomorrow ain't promised. Tomorrow ain't promised. It could be an injury at practice that we could be all out of here on the next day. I want to win right now. Now, that goes back into the front office. What is your goals? What is the plan? What is the plan for this team? Are you looking 8-8? Because if you look at 8-8, I should be here anyway, because I look to win, period. I would look to win it all. I'm not looking just to break even. So what is your plan? When you talk about Jacksonville, they ain't got no plan. All right, they were horrible. That's why they got the first pick of the whole draft. You cannot help but play the guy that you picked number 1 overall. San Francisco got more at risk. They got more at risk. Okay, guys, we're expected to win it all because we were in it and we should have won it all the year prior. We fell through the wayside last year. Now we can get back. We ain't got games to be playing with, especially in that division now. That division is pretty darn good. With New England, come on, man. Tom Brady just made you guys look like fools. You got to bounce back. And how else you going to bounce back? You got to bounce back with stability. So whatever quarterback, we're not there. We're talking from the outside in. Whatever quarterback is that guy that gives them the most stability and the guys believe in and they rally around, that's the guy I'm going with. That's the guy I'm going with. I got to win right now. I want to win right now.
How aware are your players of who you were as a player? Do they know who Prime is?
No, they know who Coach Prime is. I bet you that. Because I talk to him about so many ways, like in so many things. I'm not just a football coach, man. I'm the darn custodian. I'm the darn yard man. I'm the marketer. It's so many of these that you wear when you go to the HBCU. There's a lot of hats here. It's a lot of hats here, baby. Trust me, it's a lot of hats here that you must put on, and I embrace it, and I love it. And I love these kids, and I love the stories, and I love the conversations we have when they come into my office and sit over there, and I get to know them even more. I sit with them in the cafeteria and eat with them and get to know interesting things about them. I love these babies, man. And they're babies, I call them that because I got 2 kids that are here in this locker room. I get to see 2 of my sons play and grow up and mature. My son just came into the office the other day, like, Dad, it's different in him, baby. It's the first day of school on Monday. He's like, Daddy, it's different out there in the yard, Daddy. I said, what do you mean, son, Dad? They out there. What do you mean? Who are they, man? Them girls. You ain't come here for that, baby.
I see what you just did, Prime. I see what you just did. Hey, man, you know I love you the long way, good brother. So proud of what you're doing. Always been a leader, somebody I looked up to growing up, but then, man, had the opportunity to, well, learn from you and play with you. So, hey, look here, man, keep doing what you're doing at Jackson State. Bring them on in. Hey, man, and hey, give me an invite, man. Can we get some sideline passes to come check y'all out?
If you come on the sideline, you're going to do some coaching. Forget the passes. You're going to do some coaching. I'm going to use you more than that.
Hey, man, we appreciate you coming on. Good luck, man. We'll keep in touch. We'll bring you back on.
Amen. Thank you for this time and this moment. Because this helps us. This helps all HBCUs. So I thank you all 100%. This helps all of us, man. God bless you.
Indeed. Nothing else more to be said. That's Deion Sanders. Coach Deion Sanders. Coach Prime, if you're nasty, all right? Hey, we'll be right back with more Speak for Yourself.
Cam Newton cannot return to the Patriots facility till Thursday due to a, quote, misunderstanding about a COVID test. Bill Belichick was asked yesterday if Cam's absence was a big opportunity for rookie Mac Jones and said, quote, "It is." So we're joined by Fox NFL analyst Mark Schlereth. But Joy, will Cam's absence impact the Patriots QB decision?
Yes, it'll impact it because Bill Belichick just told us it will impact it. I still think that Cam is the starter, but Bill Belichick is not an amateur at the microphone, and he often says nothing at all. So if he says that this is an opportunity for Mac Jones, then it's an opportunity for Mac Jones. He didn't say that by accident. He's not like revealing things because he got smarted by the reporters. Of all of these guys, he's not the one that's going to fall for that. So look, I do think that Cam Newton is the starter right now, but things can change very quickly, especially in a situation where you have Mac Jones who's looking good week to week. Again, Bill Belichick is not the kind of coach that's going to give into fan pressure or media pressure. But this is a competition. And if you're not there, and more importantly, you're not there because you chose to put yourself in this situation where this misunderstanding could happen in the first place, that has consequences. Are you reliable? I'm a Cam Newton fan. I think Cam gives them a better opportunity to win right now. But if I can't rely on you because you've chosen to take a particular path in a season where we're dealing with the pandemic, if you're giving me the choice of will this happen again or will it won't, the odds are it will happen again. There are a lot of protocols in place. It's very easy to misstep with everything that's required of you if you're not a vaccinated player. I got to know you're going to be out there. This is an opportunity for Mac Jones, not because I'm saying it is, because Bill Belichick said it is. So while I still think Cam is a starter right now, this is an opportunity for Mac Jones to show that he deserves to be the starter.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I look at Mac Jones as a guy that obviously has played exceptionally well so far in the preseason. The future of your franchise is not Cam Newton. The future of your franchise is Mac Jones. And so, you know, I look at that and say that's a guy that's going to get the eventual opportunity. I still believe and I understand how preseason works, right? Preseason is about vanilla. It's about not showing your opponent anything. It's about just, do you understand the standards? Do you understand the coverages? Do you understand where to go with the football? Mac Jones has proven that he does that in base sets. Usually in the preseason, pre-snap is the same thing you're going to get post-snap. There's not a lot of deception. There's not a lot of change in coverage and scheme. In the regular season, that completely changes. What you see pre-snap is never what you get played on post-snap. So I think that Mac Jones will eventually, obviously, he's the future of the franchise. He'll be the quarterback eventually, but I think they start off with Cam Newton. But I'll take Bill Belichick at his word. I'm with Joy. When he says, hey, listen, this hurts, there's no question. Mac Jones continues to get all the reps right now. That's a good thing for the young quarterback. It's a bad thing for Cam. It's only, unless Cam plays exceptionally well, the takeover for Mac Jones will be, it'll happen eventually. Whether that's early in the season, the middle of the season, late in the season, it will happen at some point.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it'll happen based off of play. It's going to happen based off of what you touched on, Joy, is the dependability. We all know that the best ability is availability. And this is now the second time that during his tenure with this team that COVID has had something to do with Cam's absence from the team. And that's unfortunate because you never, and you know this, Stink, you never want to lose your job based off of injury of some sort. But and listen, this is where it gets a little slippery for me, and the slope can be very slippery. So I disclaimer and say, whatever your preference is your preference. You got to deal with the consequences and everything that goes along with it. But in a way where it could be avoidable in terms of you not being available, you're taking, in my opinion, an unnecessary risk. And if you believe that the risk of not taking the vaccination is more of an unnecessary risk for your personal decision, then you have to live with the fact that if that costs you your job in this quarterback battle, then you know what? Some things may mean more to a person than others. And that's not for me to decide or to judge. I do not believe that Cam disqualifies himself as the starting quarterback by his play, but it's possible that this battle has become a true battle because you want to be able to depend on the fact that this guy is going to be available. I don't want to have games where I'm going into it and I have to wonder in the 23rd hour if this guy is not going to be cleared to play, and now I have to try to figure it out. That's not good for the player that's getting not cleared. That's not good for the player that has to step into their situation and try to clean it up. And it's not good for the rest of the team as it applies. So when you look at the stability of what they're trying to create after an unstable year, by the way, I just think that this becomes a situation where the frustration that's being exhibited is based off of, dog, can you just take care of yourself so you can take care of these chickens here in Foxborough? I think that's what it ultimately comes down to and why there is a heating up quarterback battle going on, Rick.
I came into this conversation saying no, it's not going to have an impact, but you guys have framed it in a way that makes me think twice. And also the fact that there are reports that Bill Belichick gave Mac Jones a low 5 as he came off the field after throwing one of his TDs in practice today in the scrimmage against the New York Giants suggests to me that maybe things are shifting because, as we know, Bill Belichick does not give low 5s out just to anyone at any time. This may be a historic moment in the history of the young career of Mac Jones. So with that, it really splits into two parts here. And a lot of it has to do with impact is such a vague term. Do we think it's going to decide the quarterback battle in terms of who is going to be the starter week one? And again, I came into this thinking, no, this isn't going to decide the battle. Bill Belichick is going to play the quarterback that he thinks is best able to execute his plan week one against opponent one. So in that regard, it's not going to change. If it was Mac Jones missing time, then yes, I would think immediately it's going to influence it because you know about Cam Newton. He's not new to the program. You know what he's capable of. It's Mac Jones that you got to have to find out exactly what he's capable of. Now, Cam not being there does open the door for Mac Jones to get more reps and to be the guy who can demonstrate just how good he can be and how ready he is to take that spot. So, when all is said and done, is it going to impact Mac Jones's ability to prove that he's the better quarterback? Without question, it does. He's there. Cam is not. The question is going to be, and you guys raised it, like, is Bill Belichick making a statement about, look, you got to keep your ducks in order. Whether you're vaccinated or not, you can't let COVID interrupt your availability for the team. And if you can't do that, then I can't rely on you and you can't be my guy. That's the part I don't know. Will Bill make a statement about this happening twice to Cam now and say, it's too much of a risk, you can't be my starting quarterback? Or is he still going to go by, I'm going to take the guy that is most ready to do the job? And when it comes to that, I can't help but feel that Cam Newton going into week one is still the more ready quarterback to do the job, even if he misses 5 days.
Well, I'll totally agree with that. I think he's still the more ready quarterback based on the experience and based on what he's done so far in the league. But I think the gap is narrowing. And I think one of the things about the availability comment, the best ability is availability. I look at that differently. The best ability is responsibility and taking responsibility. You have a responsibility to your football team if you want to be a championship caliber football team to be available to your team, to play hurt, to play injured, to do all those things. And, I put taking a vaccine right up there with that, your responsibility to your team and your ability to be there for your football team. And I understand that everybody has their own individual choices to make, but you have to deal and suffer the consequences as well. And, one thing about injury, you can lose your job to injury if the guy who comes in plays better than you. And I think we've all seen that in the past. And if Mac Jones continues to perform like he performed reportedly at practice today against the Giants, which these joint practices against another football team are far more valuable than the preseason games. You'll get judged more critically in practice. Let's face it, in a preseason game, you may get 8, 12 opportunities to throw the football. I think he threw 40 times today in practice against the Giants. And you're getting not just vanilla looks because you don't want to show anything in a preseason game to the rest of the league. You're getting the real stuff in practice to a degree. So he continues to narrow that gap. And that's what you have to deal with when you miss time. And that's where Cam Newton is sitting right now.
And it's time that's missed that could have been avoided by his own choice. So it's not even that it's like a losing your job to injury situation where, you can't predict this injury or it just happened to him. This situation could have been avoided, and he chose to put himself in this vulnerable place by not taking the responsibility of taking the vaccine. So this was a choice on top of it. While it might have been a miscommunication, the miscommunication would not have happened if he was vaccinated. So I think there's another layer of frustration to it where it's not just an injury that no one could have predicted and, you can't control. This was a controlled situation, and the availability, I think, has another layer of effect to it when you're talking about that. And to your point, Mark, he looked good in that practice today, that joint practice. Coming up, Trevor Lawrence is officially starting week 1 for the Jaguars, but we'll tell you if that's a good idea next on Speak for Yourself.
The Jaguars, they announced today that Trevor Lawrence will indeed start week 1 for the team against the Texans. But it will not be easy. Jacksonville lost rookie running back Travis Etienne for the season. And although Lawrence has started both preseason games, he has not thrown a TD pass yet. So, Mark, is it a good idea to start Trevor Lawrence in week 1?
Yeah, it's a great idea to start him. Yeah, it's a great idea to start him. You don't have any other options, right? I mean, he's the guy that you drafted to be the quarterback. Now, I would say, from a play calling standpoint, it really becomes more incumbent upon the play callers, Brian Schottenheimer, to operate this offense well for his young quarterback. It really, the thing is, to have success in the league, especially as a young quarterback, you truly have to have great players around you. And if you don't have great players, if you're still building, then you better have a coordinator that puts you out of harm's way, that helps solidify the running game, the play action game, the play pass game, the run action game, to give you the best opportunity to have success. And that's really what it boils down to me, is supporting him through play calling if you don't have the weapons that are required to be a great football team. But I still think this is the right decision. He's the guy you drafted to be the future, and you got to keep him healthy. But the School of Hard Knocks is a great teaching environment as well.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not really a big fan of rookie quarterbacks sitting for an extended amount of time, at least not ones that are taken really high in the drafts. I understand everyone wants the Patrick Mahomes, Alex Smith scenario. You need a Patrick Mahomes for the Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes scenario to work. I know everyone loves Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. You need a Brett Favre and an Aaron Rodgers to do that. So this whole idea that you can get better at doing something by watching someone else do it for an extended amount of time, I really only believe works if you have an incredible amount of talent. And we don't know what Trevor Lawrence is yet. And I think there's some value to actually being out there on the field, as you just said, Stink. School of Hard Knocks. I get it. You don't want to throw these young guys into the fire right away and they lose their confidence and all of that. I get all that. But when you really look at it, most of these guys start. Most of these quarterbacks that are taken high in the draft start right away. 10 have actually sat their rookie year over the past 25 seasons. Only 3 of 42 top 10 quarterbacks did not get a start in their rookie season. Jake Locker, Phillip Rivers, and Carson Palmer. So this idea that this is like a common thing to do it is not even true. You need to get guys out there. They need to be on the field, in my opinion. I know everyone wants to bubble wrap them, and, we saw what happened with Joe Burrow, which was awful. But Jacksonville has Trevor Lawrence for a reason. They're terrible. So I don't expect them to be anything but terrible this year as well. They're in a complete and utter rebuild. But he needs to be out there. He's the face of the franchise. And I think there's some value to letting him take over the franchise. This is a very raw culture. This is a very raw rebuild. Jacksonville is starting from the very bottom. And for it to be his team, he's the face of it. They're going to rise and fall with him. They're going to go through the hardships, and then hopefully eventually they get things on the right track. I think there's some value to that.
Can I just go face value, surface value with this, real petty value with this? Bottom line is impacted by who on this organization? You have two people that impact ticket sales, visual audience. Are you going to watch the games? Are you going to pay attention to the Jacksonville Jaguars? You got two. One is on the field and one is on the sideline. You got Urban Meyer and you got Trevor Lawrence. Mm-hmm. That is the only way you are going to drive any type of paying attention to interests of this Jacksonville Jaguars team. You don't have a choice but to play Trevor Lawrence. If you play Gardner Minshew, it's much of the same. It's like, I'll wait until Trevor Lawrence gets in, and then I'll start paying attention. So when I look at where this team is right now, Urban Meyer is going to want to win, and he's going to want to win right away. We just heard Coach Deion Sanders say, I'm going to put the guy in that's going to give me the best opportunity, the best chance to win. Well, not only does he give you the best chance to win on the football field, perceivably, but he also gives you the best chance of winning in the checkbook, in the Brinks truck that takes the money that they generate to over there to the bank. So to me, you have no choice but to play Trevor Lawrence. He's the #1 overall draft pick. He's as highly rated as any other can't-miss #1 pick prospect that has come out in the draft. And to sit him in the current state that this team is in, as we've all mentioned, it's a tad bit redundant, tad bit repetitive, but you know what? I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to hand it to you, Rick. This team is in no position to take a #1 highly touted draft pick and sit him on the bench in order to give him time to develop. This one is run with the pack or get left behind. And if you keep up with the pack, you just might be able to catch up on to some food, get an elk down on the ground, maybe run up on a buffalo here or there, jump on a Patriot, whatever it may be, and get yourself something to eat. We're going to find out because there is no other choice. Sink or you swim. And that's why Trevor Lawrence is going to have to play, Rick.
Yeah, I'm not smelling any of what you guys are stepping in when it comes to this. Because while I agree with everything that you guys have said, and I'll start with Mark, in terms of that you don't have the talent around him. And so you need to have a game plan that is going to protect him. Well, I don't know that we're seeing that game plan to this point. Trevor Lawrence does not look very comfortable. It would be different if I saw him in the preseason and I'm like, they're finding a way to manage this. Are they going to win? No. But you know what? He's going to be able to develop. They're going to be able to develop him under these circumstances. I'm not seeing that. And I would be a hypocrite if I'm saying, and I have, that Andy Dalton should start because while Justin Fields may be the better quarterback, that the Chicago Bears are not a good team, and I'm not going to subject the guy that I believe is my quarterback of the future to what he's going to have to go through this season. I would rather use Andy Dalton as cannon fodder and allow Justin Fields to develop. I feel the same way with Trevor Lawrence. Unless you still feel you need to find out whether he is the guy. If you believe he's the guy, like Kansas City believed that Patrick Mahomes was the guy, then you try to make the most of that guy and you allow him to develop. You put him in the incubator that is going to allow him to realize his best self, and I'm not going to worry about what happens this season. LeVar, you're right. Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence are the only drawing cards, but I'm not going to sacrifice Trevor Lawrence at the expense of selling a few more tickets or getting a few more eyeballs for this particular season if it means that I'm potentially sacrificing the long-term growth for him. And Joy, you made comparisons with other quarterbacks in situations where it worked. I'm not going to base this on the quality of the quarterback ahead of my guy. I'm going to base it on the quality of the team that I'm putting around him, which is why I'm a lot more comfortable with going with Trey Lance, say, with the 49ers. Because the talent is there around him, and there's a coach who's capable of giving him exactly what he needs to be able to successful.
Hey, they're going to wait a long time to play Trevor then, bruh.
Okay, that may be the case. That may be the case. But playing him right now just seems like I'm sacrificing him. the Jags are not going to be good. They're not going to be good whether Trevor Lawrence plays or doesn't play.
Right. Well, I think you're right. I don't think they're going to be good. Yeah, you might wait till year 6. Can you sit him on the bench for 6 years before you?
Okay, don't take it too far. I'm not saying it has to be a perfect situation. I'm just saying it has to be a better situation than it is right now.
He gonna be
6 years and 2 coaches. Hey, 6 years and 2 coaches later. Hey, listen, man. I'm with you. You know, Joy's point about Joe Burrow. Like, if you're going to drop back 50 times a game, then you're idiots. You know, you look at Cincinnati last year. How many times did Joe Burrow have 42 pass attempts, 45 pass attempts, 50 pass attempts? I mean, that's just idiotic. That's stupid with the roster that you put around him. Like, that's a recipe for disaster. And what I'm saying is I want my young quarterback to lead my football team. I want my young quarterback to be in a position to grow. I want him to suffer some lumps. Not physically, though, right? I want him to learn the game. But that comes down to play calling. That comes down to scheme, identity, what you are and who you are becoming as a football team. And I think you can manage that without making him throw it 45 times a game. And I believe that that's what you have to do to give him the best opportunity to succeed in year 3, in year 4, in year 5, when you put enough talent around him. But, hey, listen, talent doesn't end young quarterbacks' careers. It's the fact that it's the lack of talent around them that ends up costing them their careers, where guys get beat up. And that comes down to me to play calling. And I'll go back to, I think LeVar was there when Washington drafted Patrick Ramsey, or you were around Patrick Ramsey. I mean, there are people doing 5 to 10 in the state pen that did less to get there than what Spurrier did to that kid. Oof. I mean, that kid took a beating. So you have to be a better play caller than that.
Yeah. So here's the question, Mark. How confident are you that the Jaguars know that and will operate that way, where they're not going to give or try to do too much with Trevor Lawrence?
Oh, I'm confident. I think that Urban Meyer's a really good football coach. Same. He knows his stuff. I mean, the bottom line is he's making that transition from the college game to the professional game, where the college game is played on the fringes, the professional game is played in the middle. Those hash marks make a difference. That's why he goes out and gets a guy like Brian Schottenheimer, who Brian Schottenheimer believes in running the ball, believes in controlling the clock, believes in all those things that to me are paramount in developing a young quarterback. So I do believe they have the right coaching staff in place. Now, there are going to be some times where they're down by 30. You know, what do? Don't be tempted to say, hey, we're going to throw our way out of this mess. You've got to stick and adhere to what your identity is and give your guy the best chance to develop. It's not so much about the best chance to win on a week-to-week basis, but the best chance to develop so that in the future, you've got a guy that really understands the game and that can really manage the game and then excel in the game as you get more and more talented down the road.
So it comes down to 3 things with the Jacksonville Jaguars. One, we all mentioned it. This is a business, okay? At the end of the day, we were talking about professional sports. This is a business. And Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence, it's the #1 overall pick. Jacksonville don't have nothing else going on, so he's going to be out there week 1, as he should be, because they need to sell tickets and people want to see Trevor Lawrence and not Gardner Minshew. 2, they don't have to be good next year. Or this year. Nobody expects him to be good this year. They have him for a reason. They have the #1 overall pick for a reason. They brought Urban Meyer in for a reason because they're terrible. So they don't have Super Bowl expectations this year. They don't have to be a great team this year. Actually, it might be more ideal for them not to be a good team this year, because then they can get another high pick next year and keep building their team up, because they don't have to win this year, unlike some of these other situations. And lastly, sharks are born swimming. There is value in learning things in losses. Every win doesn't teach you something. Every loss isn't the end of the world. So they're not going to be good. They can develop him. They can see what works. To Mark's point, don't put him in bad situations. Don't get away from your identity just because you're losing. And Jacksonville Jaguars fans know what it is. The rest of the league, media, no one should have any crazy expectations for this. This is a development year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you are blessed to be able to see some sparks of light, some star power, some positive things. That's a bonus. But no one should have overwhelming expectations for the situation. And I think, Mark, your point is the best. Just stay to your identity. Don't get out of lines. Don't put too much on him. And that's the best way to approach this season. But he's got to be out there.
Sparks of light, rainbows, unicorns.
You got to hope for some positivity here. It's going to be a very bleak season. It's going to be very long.
A stink. A stink. Yeah. 3 C's.
Especially after Trevor Lawrence gets hurt.
3 C's that are going to matter in Jacksonville this year. Chip blocks, chop blocks, and check downs. Those are the 3 C's that are going to matter the most in Jacksonville if they want to have some success. Speaking of success, check down Tommy. Did the Super Bowl champion Bucs have the best offseason in the league? We'll answer that next on Speak for Yourself.
The Bucs held up the Lombardi Trophy a few months ago, but they did not rest in the offseason, bringing back all of their Super Bowl starters. The Athletic had a survey with a group of agents who voted that the Bucs had the best offseason out of any team, with one saying, quote, "To get everyone back is insane." Insane. So did Rick. The Bucs have the best offseason.
Yes, the Bucs had the best offseason. Look, I could work really hard and try to make a case for why the Chiefs had a great offseason or the Browns had a great offseason.
Come on, Rabbit.
But it's not just that the Bucs are the defending Super Bowl champions and that they were able to bring essentially everybody back in spite of having a slew of free agents, and that normally does not happen after you win a Super Bowl. But it goes deeper than that because they also brought guys back on the right kind of deals. They franchise tagged wide receiver Chris Godwin. That's the ideal place to be with him because you don't know who your quarterback is going to be going forward beyond this season. I know Tom Brady signed an extension. I know Joy thinks he's going to play until he's 85. It's Tom Brady,
spoiler alert, Tom Brady.
Yeah, but I need to find out, like, if Tom Brady, for whatever reason, is not around, now what is Chris Godwin and how do I pay him and how much do I pay him? Shaquille Barrett, they retained him, but they didn't do it on a crazy number where you look at it and say, boy, this is really going to impact everything else that I do. And even Levante David, they brought back on a nice deal for him, but the way it's structured, he only counts $3.5 million against the cap this year. So it wasn't just that they brought everybody back, but they didn't just throw money at the problem and create issues for themselves down the line. They were smart in how they did it. So when I put all that together, as much as there are other teams that did well, look, I'd be trying to find a reason for the Bucs not to have had the best offseason just for anti-Tom Brady or anti-Tampa, Florida, whatever sentiment. And I'm just not going to work that hard. It's too easy. Bucs had the best offseason.
Who's the best team in the National Football League?
That would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
It's the Kansas City Chiefs. It's the Kansas City Chiefs because they have the best quarterback. They have the best player in the world on their team. And the only reason why they lost that game, well, was due to too many injuries along their offensive front.
Here we go.
What did they do?
What ifs?
Hey, B-Rabbit. I heard you throw out Kansas City Chiefs. Somebody must have alerted the little rabbit, the little wabbit that I was going to say. Throw Kansas City Chiefs out there. Or your conscience.
Had that all by myself.
Or your conscience did not allow for you to throw Tampa Bay out there in this easy discussion, as you say, and not throw out the one team that you know only needed 1 or 2 pieces added to what they were doing to have the best offseason, which is protection for one Patrick Mahomes. The left side of your offensive line, Joe Thuney and Orlando Brown are now additions to that team. Now, I played against Big Zeus. Baby Zeus is just as big and just as bad and probably more athletic than Big Zeus. Rest in peace, my G. Listen here. That's all they needed was to shore up their offensive line, get rid of some, we won't say disgruntled. We'll just say, you know what? Time to go players. You let Sammy Watkins go. Good player. when he's healthy, really helps the team. But it's like, can I depend on you? You let him go. Le'Veon Bell. He ain't been the same dude since he left Pittsburgh. Probably the worst decision that he's made in his career was thinking that he'd go somewhere else and revive, resurrect, do what he did when he was in the Berg. Well, he's gone now too. It is not hard to see that all you needed to do was shore up that offensive front for him so he has some time and isn't under duress all the time like he was in the Super Bowl, and let him cook, and cook he will. I'm going with Kansas City, not because they re-signed all of their players that came to the party at the Super Bowl. It was because they brought guys to the party that are going to block those guys that won in the Super Bowl.
Respectfully, you're both wrong. Now, we're really splitting hairs here because we're talking about teams that were very aggressive in the offseason, and you mentioned the team that I'm going to bring up, which is the Browns. So, look, what Tampa Bay did was unprecedented, bringing back all of their stars. Very impressive. But because it's unprecedented, I'm very interested to see how that works. Tom Brady knows how to be successful year after year after year. Does everybody else on that team put in that same work and energy now that they're Super Bowl winners?
Great question.
We will see. We will see. Now, I'm not doubting them in a tremendous way, but we will see. Kansas City did a great job with their offensive line. I agree. But I think the Cleveland Browns had the best offseason. They did a tremendous job bringing in players in free agency, signing new players, a lot of defensive players, which for that division is very important. I think the Browns are an ascending team, which is really just like crazy sometimes when I think I'm talking about the Cleveland Browns. But I really do like what the Cleveland Browns have built there. I like what Stefanski is setting up. I like the John Johnson move. They brought in Jadeveon Clowney, Takkarist McKinley, Malik Jackson, Anthony Walker, Troy Hill. They are going to have a formidable defense, and I like their offseason. Again, nothing against the other teams. They did a good job as well, but I personally think that the Browns had the best offseason, and Odell's going to be back.
Chiefs.
Coming up,
Chiefs.
Steve Young says he wants to see Trey Lance start right now. We'll tell you if we agree. Next on Speak for Yourself.
Kyle Shanahan is not revealing if Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance will be the Niners starter week 1. The 49er legend Steve Young is leaning towards playing the rookie. Young said, quote, "So all I'm saying is, barring something unforeseen, he needs to be on that field. Jimmy has the locker room. If Jimmy has a great start to the season, it just gets more complicated and more difficult because you've got this guy that you've just told everyone, we don't want you. We want this guy." So, Joy, do you agree with Steve Young that Trey Lance needs to be on the field?
You know, I do love being right. It's not the worst feeling in the world. What have I been saying all week, guys? Quarterback competitions are stupid. And Steve Young agrees with me. They are dumb. But in this particular situation, I don't 100% agree with him. It's a little bit nuanced because it shouldn't be a competition. It should be Jimmy Garoppolo's team right now, only because Trey Lance is so raw. If Trey Lance had as much experience as recent as, say, a Justin Fields or a Mac Jones or a Trevor Lawrence, then I would be more inclined to agree with Steve Young in the situation that he needs to be on the field. But this is a unique situation with the 49ers where they want to drive up Jimmy Garoppolo's trade value because right now he's just a consistently injured quarterback. So he needs to take this team into the season. We know Trey Lance is going to be on the field. Kyle Shanahan has already told us that. But I do think that Kyle Shanahan should tell us who the starter is, and that if it is Jimmy Garoppolo, just say it. Because Steve Young is right. It is Jimmy Garoppolo's locker room. He has a lot of loyalty in that locker room. And those players see what the potential is with this young player in Trey Lance, and things can start to get messy. So it's not that I think that Trey Lance should be on the field right away because he is so raw and because this team is not in a position like Jacksonville where they can afford to just be bad for a year, and they need to have Jimmy Garoppolo as the starter. So, yes, quarterback competitions are stupid, but in this situation, I do think that Jimmy Garoppolo should be the starter.
Oh, Joy. You and I just see on this, when it comes to the whole quarterback situation, you and I have different views of how this works. And I do not think that Steve Young was saying that all quarterback competitions are stupid.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
You can't extrapolate that.
You're totally right. I agree with you.
I heard that too, Rick.
That's what I heard.
Rick, I heard that too, by the way. I did hear that.
You run with that. LeVar, you run with that. You guys can be simpatico all you want. Yes, he does need to be on the field, and Kyle Shanahan tipped his hand when it comes to this because he let us know that he's not looking for Trey Lance to be perfect. He's looking to find out that when Trey Lance makes the inevitable mistakes that he is going to make because of his lack of playing and experience, can he then turn around and deliver the home run plays that he knows that Jimmy Garoppolo can't and is the reason why they took Trey Lance in the first place? And the only way they are going to find that out is to put Trey Lance on the field as much as possible. And if he continues to demonstrate, as he did in the Chargers game, where he can start out 1 for 5 and throw a pick, and then turn around and throw beautiful passes and lead drives and change plays and not be fazed whatsoever by his early stumble, that's exactly what Kyle Shanahan is looking for. He wants to play and start Trey Lance in the worst way, and it's no secret. And I dare say that whatever support that Jimmy Garoppolo has in that locker room, the rest of the guys on that team know it too. And so it's a matter of when, not if. And let's go ahead, let's rip the Band-Aid off and get there. Because unlike you, Joy, I do believe the rest of the team matters. Like the quality of the team matters. I know Trevor Lawrence has more experience over the last year, but that to me is not the defining, that's not what decides it, is can the quarterback operate safely and effectively with the team that I'm putting around him. And I believe Trey Lance can do that with this 49ers team.
That was so cute, Rick. Great take on why Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo and all that stuff. That was wonderful. And
I don't sense a whole lot of sincerity coming from you right now, LeVar. I don't know. It's
Steve Young put it out there that you should agree with her.
Steve Young said I'm right. That's what I heard.
Horrible. Let me point out the real situation here. Regardless if it's Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo who plays, let's put out the real. Let's take Steve Young and his gold jacket, because that's why we're going to listen to him. You know why? Because he had an amazing Hall of Fame career with the San Francisco 49ers. But we're going to take you into the court of public opinion. And need I say, friends, why is Steve Young advocating for this young fella, Trey Lance? It's interesting that this quote is up there, and this part more specifically. It gets more complicated and more difficult because you've got this guy. You got this guy that you just told everyone we don't want you. We want this guy. My, how history repeats itself.
Yeah.
Wasn't Steve Young the backup to the greatest quarterback of all time until Tom Brady came and dethroned him? What was his name?
I think it was Joe.
Where's he from?
Cool
Joe. Where's he from?
Joe Montana.
Joe Cool.
Is he from where we from?
Yeah.
He's from where we're from. He's Pittsburgh, dude. Joe Montana was the man. And Steve Young, you remember when Jerry Rice and they took the monkey off of his back?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
They took the monkey off of his back.
Don't compare Jimmy Garoppolo to Joe Montana.
Jimmy Garoppolo played in the Super Bowl.
Jimmy Garoppolo
played in the Super Bowl.
Joe Montana won multiple Super Bowls.
Jimmy Garoppolo is not Joe Montana.
First and foremost, let's stop here and let's just say that Jimmy Garoppolo took a team that couldn't fight its way out of a wet paper bag to the Super Bowl. And the bottom line here is now Steve Young is saying guy that is in the same situation that he was in before he got an opportunity to try to make it to the Super Bowl needs to have his chance right now. J.R. Smith, let's talk about him. We're going to break. He's going back to school. Wonderful, JR. He's going to go to school and play golf? Golf? Well, we have a lot to say about that. And there's a shift in sports, and we're going to talk about that too. Next on Speak for Yourself.
J.R. Smith is a two-time NBA champ and 16-year veteran, but he's going back to school and switching sports. The NCAA is allowing Smith to play golf at North Carolina A&T, where he will walk on as a freshman. It got us thinking about our own playing days. So, LeVar, what sport would you go back to college to play?
E-gaming, baby. I'm sitting in the seat. I'm getting them thumbs going. Ding, 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 ding. I'm talking through my microphone. Where we at? Where we at? Red team, go. Red team, go. Call of Duty, baby. What you got, Rick?
If I was JR's age, I'd want to go back and hoop it up. But I'm not. And so I'm thinking either golf or sailing would be the only sports that I could possibly participate in. And I kind of like the idea of being out on the water, you know, working the sail. I don't know.
I have given no thought to what I would currently go back and do because the way this body is set up these days, it's a no for me on anything. But I did play in a women's soccer league in Miami a few years out of college. So I'm attributing that like time frame to what JR is doing since he was in the league 2 years ago. I tore my ACL in that soccer league, which is why I don't compete in any competitive sports anymore. It happens. You get old quick. Can't do it. That's it for us. We will see you tomorrow on Speak for Yourself. Thanks for joining us today, guys.